Hey, how's it going? And today I thought it'd be cool to kind of put together several tutorials that I've done, kind of putting it all together to show you how to film kind of an animated sequence that you could use for an intro or something like that. And so what we end up with is something like this. And if I hit play, it would look something like this. Camera dolling in, and we kind of got this cool set. And then the doors open. And then it says whatever. Open doors to your learning opportunities, and you can do all different kinds of things with this. And this relies on using the content example, which is free on the marketplace, and that's an asset you should have anyway because there's a ton of information in there and examples of how you can create things in Unreal Engine. There's some hacks we have to do to it to get it to work like you just saw, but it's kind of interesting, I think. And I think you'll learn quite a bit from this tutorial. So anyway, I hope you enjoy what's coming, and I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so we're ready to get started on this. And before we get started, I have to say there's a lot of little steps in this, and this pulls on a lot of tutorials. So this is why I say it's pulling it together all together. So bear with me as we make our way through this. Hopefully this shouldn't take too long, maybe 20 minutes. But to get started, we're going to go to the content examples. Make sure you have that downloaded from the marketplace. Simply go create project, and then that's what this is up here. And it's for 5.3. So we're just going to double click into this. And as I mentioned before, one of the reasons we're doing this is because it already has a lot of stuff built for us. There's no point in us building all this stuff if it's already made. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like if you build a house, you don't go make the water heater yourself. You don't go make the windows yourself. You go get those assets. They're already made. You'll come in on the content level. This might be closed. You go into maps. We're going to go into streaming levels. And this has been a super challenge. It's taken me quite a while to figure this out, and hopefully I'm saving you some time. But this is really neat because it's a cool corridor and the door opens, but it took me forever to figure out how to get the door to open. And I think part of the problem is the fact that it is a streaming level and that some of it is coded in C++, which I am not using at all. But we're going to go into the streaming level 4, and then we have this really cool corridor here. And if we hit play, you see we have access to our player controller. Notice a couple things. Let me escape for a second. Let me make my outliner open here. So go play. Notice how much stuff gets spawned in, right? So all the main components get spawned in, and we don't really have any control over these things. So, but if I come over here to the door, it's cool. It opens. Look at that. It looks really professional. It looks really great, and it closes. So there's a trigger opening and closing all this stuff. So it's just super cool. This would be super. That's why I want to film this, because I think this would be a great opening intro. So that's what we're going to do. Now, we're going to kind of hack some of this stuff and or commandeer it. Okay, so you can change the text over here on the walls. If you select the walls and you come down here and you search, you'll see there's a title text buried in there. We're not going to change that. But I am going to grab this streaming level. This is just a text renderer. And I'm just going to grab it here and just pull it down. It looks pretty luminous, and we're just going to rotate it 90 degrees. And I'm just going to roughly position it behind this door, which is kind of translucent itself. It's not too far back. Let's see. I think it's behind the door right there. So if I hit play, you can change that into be your, some sort of sign here. And you can it's a text renderer, so you can just change it. You can play around with this, but this is just to give you the idea. So, okay. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to mess around with making that all fancy or changing the text. But you can just change that into your name. Okay, or whatever you want it to say. So now to get started on this, all I'm trying to do is get the door to open. I found all this out by just experimenting. So we're going to right click. We're going to go to Blueprint class. We're going to create a pawn. We're going to call this VP_cam. Then what we're going to do is we're going to double click into this. and I'll dock it up there. And then we're going to add a cine camera, and this will be our camera that we're going to film with. And now we need to add a static mesh to be able to trigger a collision, an overlap event. So you can just pull this up above the camera. And what I discovered was there actually needs to be something in here. So it needs to put a sphere, but if you pull out, it's way too big. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to come over here and go point 2 tab, point 2 tab, point 2 tab, and make it small. And this is just for overlap event only. So by default it's set to generate overlap, but you can just check that here, that it's generate overlap events. That's what we need to trigger our trigger box. And then the next thing is we need to turn it off because we don't need this in the scene. So we'll just turn off the rendering of it. So it's there, and that will trigger, and we can compile and save. The last thing we need to do is come over here, and because this is a pawn, we got to search for auto possess player, and it's disabled right now, but we want the player controller to take possession of our pawn. And that's it. Now I want to point out a couple things here. If we come over here and look at world settings, you'll notice there is no game mode set on this, and that's fine. So then what we can do is just drag our camera into the scene like this, and then we can see what it sees. And then the camera adjustments, unfortunately we'll have to make them over here in the blueprint. So let me clear that. So let's just make everything in focus, and you have to change the camera settings within here if you want those to change. So we got all that set, and we have our camera. So we're getting there. Now what we have to do is we're going to create a level sequence. So I'm going to right click, go to cinematics, and create a level sequence. And there it is. So with my BP camera selected, I can come to track, go to actor sequence, and add that to my scene. And then if I click here, I can add a transform track. And I'm going to hit Control and the scroll wheel, and we're going to pull this red bar out and make this a little bit longer of a animation here. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the first frame. I'm going to click there. And I can already see from here that I'm too close in. So I've got to come over here, and I'll use this controls. I'm just going to pull out about however far, and maybe I'll come up a little bit here. And you can experiment with all these settings later. Make sure auto keyframe is on. We go to the in track, and now using that same control, we are going to move in. Well, how come it already shows like we're in? I don't know. It auto keyframed. Hold on. I don't know what happened there. So let's double check here. So jump back to the first keyframe, and let's pull out. I don't know what I did there. I think I accidentally created a keyframe. Okay, so there we are. Now that's our initial keyframe. I'll jump to the end, and over here now I'm just going to push in, and you can see the camera moving in, and I can adjust the height down to that logo. And if I can, let me see if I can zoom over here and see this a little bit better from the side, and let's just keep pulling a little bit more in. I don't usually adjust the camera this way with these controls, but this hasn't been a usual day. Okay, and then if I hit play, looking at this window, we can see our shot. And it's kind of cool, right? This is why I'm saying this is a cool intro shot. And you could line this up better and this and that, but I want you to just get the effect of it. Okay, that's fantastic. So now we basically have our shot framed up, and we're almost ready to go. Go ahead and save that. And we'll go ahead and make sure that's, if I select that, that puts me in the main view, so that's even better. So now what we have to do is we have to do just a couple more things here. This is going to be our logo or whatever, this text renderer. So we're going to have to adjust the visibility on that because we don't want that to be seen. But one of the things we need to do is, let's just go ahead. We've got to do a couple things. First, we got to fix this thing, and it's quirky because I think it's all streamed in level. And for some reason, this trigger box doesn't work for me. So we have to add a trigger box to the scene. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add our own trigger box here. Drag it in here. And this is easy to get messed up on this part because this trigger box, the camera has to cross its path. So I think if we just drag it out here, our camera should hit it. You'll have to play around with this a little bit. And we're going to just scale this up. My camera's moving too fast. Okay. Here we go. So I hit the space bar, and let's just scale this up this way. Let me back up a little bit. And scale it up this way. And you just have to make sure that the camera animation crosses the path of this trigger box. Because obviously if we don't trigger the trigger, it's not going to work. Let's see if we put it right a little bit there. I just want to make sure that we hit it. And that should be good, I'm pretty sure, because it's in front of that other trigger box. And we came in pretty close to that logo too. So a lot of this you can play around with on your own. So now with that trigger box selected, let's go ahead and go into the level blueprint here. And what we're going to do is we're going to right click, and you'll see there's a reference to the trigger box. We're going to go add event collision on begin actor overlap. You can do what you want with this one. You can delete it. I'm just going to disconnect it. And then we're just going to hook up this trigger box instead. And don't ask me why this one doesn't work. I have no idea why. And let's see if this will open the door. So, but before I do that, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Let me do one more thing here. So let's take care of this text renderer here, right there. And what we're going to do is come down here on its details panel and turn off the actor hidden in game. And then with the text renderer selected, we're going to go back into the level blueprint here. We're going to right click and create a reference to it. So it's right there. And then off of this, we're going to search for hidden. This one, set hidden in game. And we're just going to wire this into here. And we're actually going to need, let me think. Let me disconnect this. Hit Alt to disconnect it and click. We actually need before we unhide it, we actually need a delay. So I'm just going to put a delay node in here. A delay node. I'm just thinking, the door's open. I think I got this a little backwards. Sorry. I apologize. Let me disconnect this because the door's open and it's hidden. So I have this backwards. Okay, so the door's going to open and then there's a delay of about a second. So we'll put a 1 in here. And then this opens. Sorry about that. And if this is off, that unhides it. If this is clicked, it hides it. So it's set in the details as hidden, and this unhides it after 1 second, after the door is open, after we trigger it with our pawn, hopefully. So that takes care of that. And then the last thing that we got to do, and this is the part that was really messing me up, was we've got to drag the level sequencer into the scene. And we can set it right now. We'll just do this to test this. We're going to set it to autoplay, but you'll see in a minute why we need to trigger this ourselves. So we'll hit autoplay, and let's see if the door's open. Now I don't know why I'm coming in at that angle. See if the door open. The door does open, but for some reason, I don't know why. Why is my keyframe on my camera all messed up? Let's see. So we're gonna have to refix this. Let me reposition my camera here. So this, I'm on my camera. I'm on my BP camera, and this is my opening position. I don't know how I got there. So let me come down. Everything is weird here. I'm gonna adjust my orientation there. And then let me back up. I have no idea how this got so messed up. That's so weird. And I'm just going to go ahead and delete this keyframe. Well, I don't know. Let's look and see what it does. So it dollies us in. I have no idea how that got messed up. But obviously something happened. Okay. Now it doesn't open because we have to be in the game for it to open. So if I hit play now, I have my sequence in the system, right? And it's on autoplay, right? Yes. So let's see if it works. Hit play. And hopefully the door will open. And notice our text render is hidden in the background. It should open the door. Open. And I don't know where our text is. So that's the only little glitch we're having right now. So what's the deal with that? Streaming level. Hidden in game. It's hidden in game. And what did I do? What did we do? Here, let's see. Open doors. Delay. Target is. See, because look, if we do it this way, we turn it off here and turn this on as new hidden. See if that does it. Watch. So it starts out, we see it, and let's see if that turns it off. This is kind of the opposite, right? And it does turn it off. Is that weird? It does turn it off. So we're doing just the opposite. After a second, pretty much. So we're doing just the reverse. You click that on. And then turn that on. It's just the reverse. It starts out hidden. And then it should pop up. I have no idea what's going on. That's obviously some kind of glitch or something. Let's try visible. So we'll turn off the visibility. And we'll just do set visibility then. Okay, here we go. So the visibility is off. The actor hidden in game didn't work. Let's see if this works. All right. So don't ask me why that didn't work. Okay. So we've got our situation set up now. Okay. And the last thing we're going to do is try to film this darn thing. So to do that, we've got to go back to the level sequencer. And it's selected. And we're going to turn off autoplay. And then we're going to come in here and go on open level blueprint. And we are going to right click and create a reference to our new level sequence. We're going to get a keyboard press. And that's going to be 1. And we're going to drag off this and go play sequence. And we're going to just drag this in there. So we are going to trigger it. And now we're ready to film this darn thing. So now we're going to go to Windows, Cinematics, Take Recorder, and we are going to hit play. Nothing's going to happen. We're going, oh, well, of course nothing's going to happen. We're going to hit source, and it's going to be our BP cam. And then we're going to hit play. And we're going to start recording. 1, 2, 3. Click on the screen to gain control and press 1. And now it should be filming. And the door should open, and then our message should appear behind it. And that is it. So now we'll hit escape, and we'll come into our content browser. We'll go into cinematics. We'll click here. We'll double click there. We'll click here, and there is, it should be our entire shot. We might have to edit it down, in our editor, but then from here we would just render it out. And if I hit play, you see we have our shot here coming in. And of course you could play with the lighting and everything else, but that is it. How come the door didn't open? Let's try that again. Let me close out of this. Okay. Let me try this again. So we'll hit play. We'll go click here. 1, 2, 3. Click on the screen. 1. Door should open. And that's it. Escape. Common level sequence. Double click this. Cutscene. Let's just render this thing out. I'm just going to render it out. Don't save. Come in. The door should open, right? Yeah. There we go. Okay. Alright. There, we did it. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Take care and have a great day.